On this episode of the podcast, me and Dillon perform our own mock draft for the 2023 WWE Draft. All of that plus more on this episode of the Burning Hammer podcast. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Burning Hammer podcast. I'm your host, Mark Izzo, and to your right is your other host, Dillon O'Brien. Dillon, what's going on?
Mark, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to talk wrestling. And we got a draft coming up for the WWE. So it's pretty exciting, especially with the potential of them kind of cementing a little bit of a harder brand split moving forward with this draft, if that is the case, hopefully. So if that is the case, then it's even more exciting. So very excited to get into this mock draft.
Yeah, so you heard the man. We're going to perform our very own mock draft for the WWE drafts. But before we get into that, Dillon, you said you had something you wanted to show off.
Oh, yeah. So I try to keep the people updated on all our like wrestling memorabilia purchases and stuff that we add to the collection. First question, did I show the bobblehead I got?
You showed it to me. You did not show it to the people.
Okay, then I have two things to show. The first thing being little cop, Chris Jericho, Rumble Heads, Y2J bobblehead, WWF,
Nice.
Raw's Jericho. I'm thinking about taking it out of the package. I usually keep my memorabilia and stuff in the packaging. This one specifically, I'm thinking about taking it out, just putting it on the disc. Specifically because I think I can put it back in the package like effortless and like not have it. And it's a bobblehead. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
And it was $15. Good price.
Hell yeah. And if you're listening to the podcast, make sure to head over to our YouTube channel to see the glorious Chris Jericho bobblehead.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to I definitely at some point soon. I think I'm kind of gonna be in the middle of a move over the next couple of months. So it's by the time I move, this is for the listeners. By the time I kind of move and I'm a little more settled, we plan on making a lot of like big good changes to the podcast. One being like we were hoping to get more in person, get a little setup that shows off all our wrestling memorabilia and whatnot. And me and Mark can be in person and talk and whatnot. And we also definitely plan on getting more active on the YouTube. And one of the YouTube videos we're definitely going to have to make is going through all our wrestling memorabilia and stuff like that. Maybe we'll do it separately, like one for shirts and one for
we're gonna have to, because I got a lot of shirts.
Yeah, especially if we combine it and do it in one video, like the Burning Hammer podcast shirt collection. Like,
yeah,
it'd be a lot. But also my other thing. So that was my first thing. But my other thing, got to give a quick shout out to a decent group of people. Mark, my brother Connor, his girlfriend, like basically my sister-in-law Trish, one of my best friends Becca, one of my best friends Joe. Big group of people pitched in to my parents to really help get me an insanely awesome birthday gift. Something that it's like I never justify myself spending the money on, and like basically feels like I would only ever get this anytime soon, at least, by a large group of people coming together and getting it for me as a gift. So it was like an insane reaction. Didn't expect it at all, but it's here. And that is probably the most beautiful wrestling belt in history. Big gold.
Oh, yeah.
She's here.
Hell yeah.
A real rep, man. Like, this is a nice guy. It's got some weight to it. It is it's legit, man. It is legit.
Yes. Dillon's got the in case you're listening, the big gold championship replica title for his birthday. That was just under a month ago, but it came a couple of weeks ago. So it's definitely the best looking championship in all of professional wrestling
Yeah,
history.
just
So
like what an absolute amazing gift. Shout out to Mark. Shout out to other people as well that I mentioned. What a gift. Um, I will be wearing this to future WWE events. I actually questioned. I was like, this might be kind of annoying to wear to wrestling events. Um,
yeah, for
but
sure.
also, but also, like, where else are you gonna wear it? Like, that's like,
Um, yeah.
if not there, then where? You know what I mean? Like, if it's too annoying to bring to a wrestling event, then where would it not be too annoying to bring? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, like,
very true. Very true.
it's kind of where I'm at with that. I was saying I'm going to Bonnaroo in June. I kind of want to bring it to Bonnaroo and just wear it around like the music festival the whole time. But
Be sick.
yeah, I feel like it'll be too hot.
Yeah. It also seems like may get lost.
Yeah,
Very easily could fall off. Someone could steal it from you.
I'll protect that thing with my life.
So
I'm the champ,
before we
dude.
get into this mock draft, let's go over a couple of things that we think are going to happen involving said draft. So to start off with, I think what tag teams do you think they're going to split up? Because usually what they do for the draft, and again, WWE doesn't really stick to any certain format for their draft as
Yeah,
it's
that was
been
the other
very
thing I was gonna.
shaky over the past
That's the other
however
thing
10,
I
12
was gonna
years
say.
that it's been
But it's
done.
kind of over time. You know what I mean? It's like I've come to like the fact that there's not really any rules. It used to be kind of annoying, but now I like it because it's just like one, it's professional wrestling. So it's like if you're gonna be a stickler about like they didn't follow the rules, I'm like, we've literally watched so many people die and die. Like, so if you're gonna like talk about following the rules, we've literally brought people back from the dead and done all this crazy stuff. There's no rules in pro wrestling.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so regardless of if it makes sense storyline wise or whatever, we
I
don't have
think
to
they
get into
just
that.
need some
But
formatting stuff. That's sort of what I meant by
a
like
little no,
rules.
yeah, totally. A little
Like
bit of
just like, hey,
formatting.
we're drafting 5 people per round. There's this many number of rounds. After that, we sort of will just like do whatever. Like, I don't know. It's just like so
Totally.
basically one of the rules that
What I
they
meant by
go ahead.
what I was gonna say really quick was like the fact that there's like not really a rule between they were like they can split up tag teams if they want, they can draft an entire faction if they want, they can like it's real that's what I kind of meant by the no proper rules because it's like you kind of need no proper rules in order to do certain shit that you want to do with
Yeah,
stuff like
so that was actually what I was going to say too is what they've said in the past is you draft tag teams as a whole, but if you want to talk to like a WWE official or whatever, you can just draft one person from the tag team. So, Dylan, do you think they're going to split up any tag teams? I can think of two right off the top that I feel like they're going to split up.
yeah, and I feel like we're probably thinking of the same ones with Alpha Academy and the Street Profits.
Yep.
Um,
That was two right
yeah.
off the top that I felt like they're going to definitely split
Um,
up, and I think it could be for the best for everyone involved. I like, I think it's definitely Montez Ford is the person who's probably going to benefit the most out of those four. I'm
or
worried
Gable.
about the other guys that they're sort of just going to fall to the side and almost get forgotten about, especially depending on where they go, whether it's to like Raw or SmackDown.
Um, yeah, yeah. It's gonna be interesting. I'm worried about a Street Profits split up just because it seems like it would be designed to split them up to get Montez to a singles run, and then they'd be like, oh wow, we also have Dawkins, who's also extremely good and like really talented. So he's one guy I would be a little bit afraid of getting lost in the wayside, but who knows? You don't know until you see. And you know, he's talented enough, really, I think, to um stand out and find his way as a singles competitor as well.
Yeah, and so I recently just published an article that was 3 things that need to happen at the WWE draft over at vendettasportsmedia.com. So make sure to check out vendettasportsmedia.com for all of your sports needs plus TV, movies, and gaming. You name it, they cover it. Head over to vendettasportsmedia.com. But a couple of those things that I said that need to happen is they need to figure out the title situation. Like if they're going to actually unify the titles and debut new ones, like this is the time to do it. Like they need to figure out what they're doing with it because Raw needs a world title, and also figure out what they're going to do with the tag titles. Like, because on one hand, we were talking about before how they should unify them and just have one set. But if they're doing a draft where they're going to be on separate shows, then I'm not sure how they're going to actually just have one set of tag titles. So then you're like, all right, they're going to split them up, but how are they actually going to split them up is like what I'm sort of trying to figure out now, unless they just unify them, make them one title, and then just create another set for whatever show that that Sammy and Kevin Owens don't go to. So what are your thoughts on that? What do you think they're going to do with separating or unifying the tag titles?
I think there's a better chance they unify them and just have one set. If I'm being honest. And then probably so this was my thought. My thought was they unify them, have one set, and then the women's tag titles are on one show and the other tag titles are on another show. And those are your tag divisions.
It would make sense. I think it'd be good for the women's tag division.
I think it would be good for both divisions.
I just don't, unless they announce something where it's like we're not gonna draft tag teams and they're all just gonna go to Raw. Like I don't know how they would do that with like the draft. That's the problem. That's the thing I can't really figure out.
Yeah. Well, that's Triple H's job.
Yep. So, and the last thing I said that needs to happen is I may be the only person who likes this, but I enjoy on-screen managers. I enjoy on-screen bookers for wrestling shows, like, and especially if you're gonna have a brand split, and you're having a draft. Like, I just feel like you can't have goofy Adam Pearce running both shows. Like, I feel like he should just be on SmackDown or Raw, bring in another GM because someone needs to run either show. And who's going to be drafting for each show if they're not like having GMs? That's the other thing. Like I think they should, and I think there's a good chance that they bring back someone to be a GM, and I think it would benefit a lot. I just think it makes things make a bit more sense in terms of like booking matches, just to have an on-screen GM. I could see them I'm not sure. Are there any people who come to your mind that could be another GM? Tyler Breeze.
Tyler Breeze would be cool.
He's in the game.
MVP. I think MVP would be an interesting general manager. Pat McAfee, interesting GM.
That would be fun.
William Regal, once he's able to be on screen, whenever that is. Next year, never mind then. Probably not William Regal. Booker T. There's some guys. I definitely think there's more. Let me think, because I'm think for a minute.
Think they'll bring Kurt Angle back?
Probably not.
What if they bring McAfee back on the announce team and then have Wade Barrett as
Wade Barrett?
That'd be sick.
Wade Barrett. I like that a lot.
I've got some bad news for you. You're in a match tonight.
Who else?
Let us know in the comments. Who do you think's going to be?
Yeah.
If you think they're gonna do a 2 GM setup, and who should be a GM, or if you think they should bring in another person and sort of just kick Adam Pearce to the curb, not to the curb, but storyline on screen wise, he wouldn't be on screen as much. So let's move on. Let's draft, Dillon.
Let's do it.
This is a first for the both of us. We never really tried to do anything like this before. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, again, this is a mock draft, so it's essentially who we think each show is going to draft. And we're sort of just going to go until we feel like we've gotten most of the important people, because what WWE does is it's usually a 2-night thing, about 4 or 5 rounds, uh, or 4 or 5 picks per round. They'll do a couple rounds at night, and then like in the next weeks, they have like a bunch of people who's like, this person was drafted to this show, this person was drafted to that show. They do it in batches. So we're just gonna sort of go until we feel like we've hit a bunch of good people. Before we get started, actually, Dillon, do you think there's any shot that there's UFC guys or girls that get drafted to WWE with
I'm
this?
sure there's a chance. It would be. I'm sure there's a chance. We'll see.
I almost want to say there's a good chance.
Like
Like,
Daniel Cormier or someone.
yeah, like maybe
Cormier versus Lesnar.
McGregor on like a part-time contract. Like that's a thing, because they can sign him as like a part-time, or like not even just like as like an actual wrestler, like I think it's interesting. I think it's something to think about, and I think it's something
Yeah.
that there is a good possibility that it's going to happen. So let's get started with this draft. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so basically we are just going to talk about who we think is going to get drafted to what show. And so
I
I
feel
think
like I
whoever,
should.
go
I
ahead.
feel like I should draft for Raw and you should draft for SmackDown.
All
Um,
right. Good enough
just
for
because
me.
you watch SmackDown more than me, and I think I watch Raw more than you probably.
Agreed. So I think that um basically let's determine where we think Roman Reigns is going to go, because that's whoever's going to have the first pick. So I think
You.
he's going to SmackDown.
Yeah, that's why SmackDown is starting the draft. That's why they're starting the draft on Friday, so Roman Reigns can be the first pick to SmackDown. I'm like
Yep. All
100%
right.
sure.
So obviously I'm going to take Roman Reigns first pick to
Yeah.
SmackDown. Now, I think it's interesting to think about who's going to go when, because you have to keep in mind that like the world titles, the tag titles are like the mid card titles. Are they going to go ahead of someone like a Seth Rollins, like a Cody Rhodes? So it's definitely interesting to see like how they sort of figure out the mechanics with that. But Dylan, who do you think is going to be the first pick for Monday Night Raw?
Yeah, and I was thinking about that hard, and like I said, I might be wrong because they might take that into play, but I just think it makes the most sense that I just think they're going to draft Cody Rhodes number 1 to Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. Um yeah, I was reading a Bleacher Report article, not to put them on blast, but to put them on blast. They had Cody Rhodes getting drafted on the second night on Monday Night Raw. Um which like I don't know, I guess it kind of makes sense, but it's also just like they're going to draft 10, 11, 12 people before Cody Rhodes. So that's
Yeah,
like the
it
other
doesn't
thing.
feel
Um
right.
but I guess it makes sense to have him drafted to Raw on Monday Night Raw, but again, you can't do that with everybody. Um so I think the second pick for SmackDown, I feel like they got to go with their world champion Rhea Ripley. Like it just
Yeah,
seems like it makes the most sense, although it wouldn't surprise me if they did end up drafting drafting like switching champions like that. But I mean, I think it makes the most sense. And I just want to quickly talk about that the Judgment Day and the Bloodline segment, because that was awesome.
oh
Um
yeah.
when they were standing there, Rhea Ripley lined up. They did the thing where their teams were lined up across the ring, and Rhea Ripley was lined up with Solo Sikoa, and she was giving him the meanest look. She was not backing down at all. And then Heyman like asked him to move, so then he put Jey Uso against Rhea, and then Rhea just followed Solo, and it was awesome, bro. She is so awesome. Like I can't stress it enough. So I'm taking Rhea Ripley because I just feel like it makes the most sense.
Do you think it's gonna be like she'll be drafted as like Rhea Ripley in the Judgment Day, and like the whole Judgment Day will get drafted to SmackDown?
Nah.
Do you think the entire Judgment Day is going to get drafted to SmackDown anyway?
Um
Because
Yes.
in my head, I think they're just gonna take Rhea Ripley in the Judgment Day. That's the second overall pick.
I
Like they're
think
just gonna take all four.
I think I mean, yeah, I feel like that would be easier. Um, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to just draft factions like that. So
But I also think there's a chance that they split up Judgment Day, but don't like really split them up. Like Finn is like still like I think there's a chance Finn stays on Raw. Priest, Dom, and Rhea go to SmackDown, but Finn still reps the Judgment Day
oh, and if
and
he
like
could start
maybe
his own yeah.
recruits another member or something.
Yeah. I
Um,
think that would be fun.
yeah, I think there's a chance that happens, but I think you're probably like the most likely situation is she gets drafted um second to SmackDown. And then I would definitely take Bianca Belair um as a second pick to Raw. Uh she would be the one that like I would consider taking over Cody in the mock draft that I think they might end up picking over Cody.
Yeah. Um, definitely. So now I feel like we're getting into the tough part because it's like, when do you draft the tag team champions?
Yeah.
However, I feel like they are going to keep the tag titles on Raw. Um, and there are some reports that they may switch the mid card titles, the brands of the shows, uh, which I think they could do. So I feel like they may throw A Town down Austin Theory on SmackDown. That may be bold. It may be dumb. But I think there's a good chance they could switch the mid card titles.
Okay. I like it. And if that's the case, then give me Gunther on Raw.
All right. Do you think they should switch the mid card titles?
It's weird because I like the idea of Gunther on Raw, but I don't like the idea of Theory on SmackDown. That's kind of where I'm at with it. But
I feel like I
it would
like
be
Gunther on
fresh.
SmackDown.
I like, yeah. I would definitely be cool if they didn't switch the titles, but I would find it a little weird if they didn't switch any, honestly.
Yeah. Um. So where do you? So
There's a chance that Rhea and Bianca's. There's a chance that Bianca goes to SmackDown.
yeah, I think so. I think so too. I think there's a, dare I say, almost a good chance that they
And then keep Judgment Day all together on Raw.
yeah. So for my
And then I
fourth
would
pick,
probably argue Tez gets drafted alone to SmackDown if that's the case with
yeah.
Bianca. But yeah, go with your fourth.
So this is tough because I feel like I think they're going to keep the tag titles on Raw, like I said. So I would draft them, Sammy and KO, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think there is a good chance that they, excuse me, they are going to draft. Oh, man, this is tough. I feel like they're going to do Bray Wyatt. There's some other people
That
that I feel like they could consider, but I feel like because like, also, where the hell has Bray Wyatt been?
Yeah, apparently he's dealing with a health issue. There's reports, rumors, like we don't know anything for sure. The latest like report rumor is he's been dealing with a health issue, and that's the reason that he wasn't on WrestleMania. That's the reason they didn't have anything for Bobby Lashley, because they were kind of playing it by ear, hoping that Bray might be back for Mania, and he wasn't able to be. And then the plan was for Bray to return in the draft, and now they're saying that still might be the plan, but they don't know for sure because they're trying to be like extra cautious with whatever this health issue is to prevent it from happening again. So I have a feeling it's not like a physical injury. I have a feeling he might be like dealing with like a something, like he might be sick of some sort.
Gotcha.
Um,
Well,
you might have,
I mean,
but
I feel like that doesn't mean they can't draft it.
um, and they didn't say he's like injured or something.
Gotcha. So, who's gonna
But
be?
with that being said, I think there's a good chance that Bray gets drafted to SmackDown, and I like the pick there. Like I like him at 4 there because it's
Yeah,
nice. It surprises people, and I think it's one of the acceptable picks that you could put before um, Seth Rollins, who is the next pick to Raw, because I think he's staying on Raw.
yeah, I agree completely. That's the thing. Like, I would have picked Seth there, but I just feel
No,
like
totally.
he's
If
going
it
to
like
Raw.
wasn't if it wasn't like a mock draft, totally you'd pick Seth. I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Again, I just want to make it clear. This is like, again, it's a mock draft. It's where we think people are going to, where we think WWE is going to draft everybody, not where like we would draft people. Which we'll have to do a video like that in the future for sure. For like us drafting our own 2 shows. So let's see. 5th overall pick for SmackDown. This one's tough. Um, because I am going to take the women's tag champions. Now, this may
Oh,
be uh, a bit of a bold decision. However, I think I think they're putting the men's titles on Raw, so I think that leaves them with the women's titles on SmackDown.
yeah. All right. So then put the men's titles on Raw. That's the next pick.
Gotcha. Sorry, I'm also writing these down as we are doing them just so we keep track of everything. Where are you, Sammy and Kevin Owens?
Bro, I don't even see them.
No, I saw them. There's
Oh, they're Sammy.
Sammy, and I know I saw Kevin Owens. Oh, all right. Heading back to SmackDown, the 6th overall pick.
So this is where I feel like it gets interesting, where it could kind of go any which way, because all the titles are out of the way now. Um,
This is where it's going to get interesting, and I'm debating between 2 people. Um, actually, a couple of people, and I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to dig into what Triple H is going to do. Um, because I think there is one person who's definitely going to SmackDown, but I think that they are going to. I feel like they're going to go with a women's wrestler in this spot.
agreed.
Um, and I'm torn between Asuka, Bailey, and Becky. Um, but I think it's going to be Asuka. I think after losing to Bianca uh,
Yeah.
at Mania, I think this is going to be a somewhat of a fresh start for the Empress of Tomorrow, the Killer
Yeah, I
Crown.
like that. I like that. Because I think they keep Becky on Raw, and that's what I was gonna do with the next one.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so I'm gonna take Becky there. And I think Becky would be the first non-champion uh woman on the roster to be taken in the draft. But I don't think she's going to go to SmackDown. So I think it's like I think that makes a lot of sense to take Asuka.
Yeah. So then, with my 7th pick for SmackDown as the general manager, oh, man, this one's tough, but I got to do it. I'm taking the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. I feel like he's going
Nice.
to go to SmackDown. Um, I'm not exactly sure what the timetable is for his return, although I feel like we could be getting it soon, and I feel like a good way
Yeah,
to do it is to draft him at the draft.
totally. Um, yeah, and with that, I like that pick to SmackDown. And with that, um, one of the this is only the second brand switch so far in my draft to Raw. I'm gonna take Drew McIntyre.
Mm.
Especially if Gunther goes to Raw, I think there's a good chance Drew McIntyre goes over there with him. And they start a little interim feud, possibly for the time being. Who knows? But I think Drew McIntyre on Raw would be I think it would be a healthy switch for him. I do. I think it would be nice,
Yeah, I completely agree.
especially with a possible heel turn.
And I think that I don't want to tell you who to pick, but I think based off of an NXT call up, I think that could be a good pick. Um,
Mhm.
which I'm sure you will pick because I know you're smart enough. So for SmackDown, I feel like I gotta do it. Charlotte Flair
Mhm.
going to SmackDown. Um, I think there's a lot that she can do with other women on the SmackDown division, help elevate stars, and I don't think she's quite done yet. I think we could get another um, world title reign from Charlotte Flair on SmackDown. And again, Rhea's there, Asuka's there, and then there's going to be a lot of other young and up and coming women on the SmackDown roster as well. So I think Charlotte's going to stay on SmackDown.
Yeah, and I'll take Bailey with that.
Agreed. I think Bailey's uh
Raw.
staying on Raw for sure.
Yeah, I agree there.
All right. With
I
the
know
ninth
where you got
pick,
to go here.
you know where I gotta go?
I know where you got to go, bro. You know what to do.
Well, let me see. Let me look at my options here.
You, in my opinion, there's two people to choose from.
Okay. I feel like there's a couple people or a couple ways I feel like they could go. Um, I don't think they're gonna do the one thing this early in the draft. Oh man, this is tough. There's actually all right. Oh man, I'm gonna take LA Knight.
Hmm.
Um, it may be a bit bold, but I think
You
they're
think
sort
he's
of just
staying on SmackDown?
yeah. I just I mean, I could see him going to Raw, just because they have more time, television time on Raw. But I mean, it's just tough because I just feel like they're waiting around with him to do something. Like, how many times do we have to watch him wrestle Xavier Woods?
Hmm.
Um, especially when he was supposed to have a segment at Mania that reportedly got cut. So now it just feels like they're waiting around. He's obviously a massive, massive star in WWE without getting the proper push, even. And I could see him going earlier in the draft as well, whether it's to SmackDown or it's to Raw. But I think he does stay on SmackDown. And now that I'm looking at it, I think a feud between him and AJ Styles could be a lot of fun.
Totally. Totally. So if I'm being honest, what I personally thought was going to get done there was that you were either going to draft Dominic Mysterio, because Dom coming out like before certain people would just be like hilarious and make so many people mad.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's just like a good spot to draft him. Also, my other pick would have been Logan Paul.
Yeah,
Um,
that's who I was debating between him
yeah,
and
just
Logan.
because, and I would have did that because my next pick to Raw was going to be LA Knight because me personally, I think LA Knight's going to switch over to Raw.
Gotcha.
Um, with that though, give me Bobby Lashley
Nice.
because I think he's staying on Raw. Now that I'm looking at it, it doesn't look like there's going to be a ton of people switching. But we're not that far into it, actually, really.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
there's a lot of people.
we're 9 rounds into it.
Yeah.
And so with that, I'm gonna have to go Logan Paul for my next pick.
Gotcha.
Um,
I think that's
because
smart.
I think him going to SmackDown just makes sense. And
Yeah.
again, you could switch him, put him um in the 9 spot, and then you throw LA Knight on Raw. But I think regardless, there's a solid chance that Logan Paul is gonna end up under the Friday Night Lights.
Hmm. Yeah, I think there's a good chance for that too. Can you yeah, let me take a look. Hmm.
So
So
I
here's the
okay,
thing.
you
All right,
go.
no, go you. No, you go.
So I think in this spot, there's a couple ways to go. Because you got Brock Lesnar still.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was thinking. But
Um,
also,
however, I feel like this could be a spot where they split up some tag teams. Um,
that's what I
or
was also thinking.
this could be a spot where we get the Braun Breaker call up. But I I don't want to tell you who to pick, but personally, I think Brock Lesnar's staying on Raw. And
Yeah, give me Brock. And then I'd prefer it if you didn't take Braun Breaker.
I'm not. I was I think Braun's going to Raw, so I'm not gonna take him. Don't worry. Don't you stress your little heart. So with that, man, this is tough because as much as I want to take like an Edge or a Randy, I think they're going to Raw, especially Randy, because I think he's going to challenge Cody in the future whenever he's
I
healthy.
thought I think there's a good chance Edge goes to SmackDown.
Yeah, that's what I was. I just don't know if they would do that, but I feel like
There's some places to go though. You still got Sheamus. You can take the Usos. Um,
I think what
Solo. I think Matt
I
Riddle's a decent chance.
so all right, whatever. I'm gonna take Edge on SmackDown.
Okay.
I feel like that's a solid pick because
Yeah.
I feel like there's a good chance that they are going to split up the bloodline, but just have Solo be on his own on a show.
Gotcha.
Do you think there's
If
any
that's the
chances that that happens?
I like it. If that's the case, I think Solo goes to Raw though. And then
Yeah, I agree.
uh I'm cool with that. Honestly, we can
Because
draft
they're
it like
high on
that.
him. So if
Yeah,
they're
and
gonna
then you
push
keep
him,
Paul
that's the
and
way
yeah,
to
and
do
like
it.
Paul and yeah, and then Paul can stay with Solo on Raw and then like um they're gonna keep Paul with Solo too.
Yeah.
Um all right, so my next there's a few places I could go here. I don't so this is the thing. I think Randy goes to Raw. I don't think they draft Randy this early just because I think it's gonna be like one of those shock things. That it's just
Yeah,
like,
I
oh
could see
shit, Randy, you like
them doing
waiting.
that on night 2 when it's on
Yeah,
Monday
yeah,
Night Raw.
totally. Absolutely. And part of me wants to go Braun Breaker, but give me Montez Ford solo. Just Montez.
Agreed. I think that's a good pick there, Dill.
And yeah, thanks. And the other thing too is I guess we'll say this to the listeners. I guess kind of our end goal isn't as much like the rounds that these people are getting drafted in. It's more kind of trying to give you guys the best idea of what the roster is going to shake out to after the split, after the
Yeah.
draft. So it's like, yeah, you can pay attention to the rounds. Like the rounds are just like really hard to play off of because they can justify taking anybody for any reason because it's pro wrestling. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's definitely. I think like as the rosters are shaking out, though, I think we're doing a pretty decent job.
Yeah, I
Honestly,
agree. Like you could easily make the case that Seth Rollins gets picked like in the second.
no,
He's
yeah,
one of the
totally.
second
Like
picks.
you could argue that Bianca is going to be the first pick to Raw.
Yeah. I think one thing's for
Like,
certain, Roman's the first pick for SmackDown.
yeah, for sure,
Throw the mortgage on it.
for sure.
So, with that, I feel like they're see the thing that's kind of messing me up is the mid-card titles because I feel like they may go with an NXT call up here.
Hmm.
Um and I don't think it's going to be Ilya because I think he's going to go where Gunther's going. I don't think it's going to be Braun Breaker because I think he's going to Raw. I don't know if it's going to be Grayson Waller.
Oh no, I
Um,
like that.
Waller to SmackDown.
Yeah,
Hmm. But then my other thought is,
Waller versus LA Knight, bro.
yeah, that would be fun because I feel like,
Or you could take the Usos.
oh yeah, oh shit, yeah, it's the Usos. We are the ones. It ain't paranoia. It's the Usos.
Yeah,
Dude, I've just been saying that ever since we listened to their song.
it's so funny.
I've just been
It's not
screaming it
paranoia.
randomly.
It's the Usos.
So I'm taking the Usos with the 12th pick for SmackDown. We the ones, baby. They won.
Yeah, give me this just because I'm gonna even up the people and the tag teams. But give me the Viking Raiders
Okay.
to Raw. Because I don't necessarily think maybe that's where they go, but I think they stay on Raw, and it's just easier to keep like to draft a tag team when you draft a tag team, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
I think I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do with the tag team division because I mean, I
Hmm.
just feel like it makes both sort of makes sense just if you're going to put effort and thought into it because they have a lot of talented tag teams, but it's just like if you split the titles and have one for each show, like you would give more teams an opportunity at the titles just because if you have like the New Day and Usos on one show, then like you have teams like the Viking Raiders. Um, you could have Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa as a tag team, a little DIY. Like I think there's a lot of tag teams that could do it, but also I feel like you
Totally.
could make the argument that everyone would benefit if they just had one tag team division and then they sort of just do double duty on both shows. So, which is
Hmm.
something I could see them doing. Um, so yeah, Dylan's going with the Viking Raiders, 13th pick in the draft. I love the Viking Raiders. I think they need a massive push because they're awesome. So
Sheamus is still on the board.
yeah, and I feel like I gotta take Sheamus here. I don't think,
Yeah, and I think he stays on SmackDown.
yeah, and I don't think he's. Although I don't know, maybe he will just go wherever Gunther goes. Do you think he's the
Could
person to dethrone Gunther still?
maybe. I'm not sure though.
I don't know. I feel like it could be. I may be crazy, but I feel like it could be Pete Dunne or Ilya Dragunov.
Yeah, I feel like it could be one of them now. Now that it wasn't him at Mania.
I feel like they lost the opportunity
Yeah,
to do it.
yeah. Give me Braun Breaker to Raw with my next pick. I think I like the NXT call up here. Yeah.
Agreed. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that's a great pick. So for me, I am going to. It's tough, man. This is getting. We're getting down to it, but I gotta go ex-con Dom.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
feel like it's only right. I feel like you could make the argument that I should have taken him earlier, um, but I didn't. So cry
Totally.
about it.
But no, I like that pick there a lot. Um, and I'm gonna go with Bronson Reed to Monday
I
Night
love
Raw.
I love Bronson Reed, man. He's another person who I feel like they're waiting till after the draft and they're going to give him a big push.
Agreed.
So for my next pick, 15. This is tricky because I'm not sure. Let me see. Did you take Bailey?
Yeah.
Because I feel like
What about
Io.
Ronda or Shayna? I think EO stays on Raw. I kind of think Damage Control stays on the same brand, even though they're gonna split up. But I could be wrong. But if anything, I think it's more likely that Dakota switches. You got Shinsuke.
I do have
Um,
Shinsuke.
and I think he probably stays on SmackDown because I don't think they would have debuted him back on SmackDown if he was just going to get drafted to Raw.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll cuz I want to take an NXT call up, but I just don't. If it's not Ilya, I don't think they're gonna do Grayson Waller quite yet. So I'll do it. I'll play your game, Dill.
Shinsuke?
Yeah,
Yeah. He's down to the left. Bottom left.
gotcha. All right, who are you taking for your 15th pick? Because I'm still trying to figure out where like Chad Gable's gonna go.
He's going to stay on Raw, I think.
You think?
Or no. No. Send him to SmackDown.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I like that. Send him to SmackDown. He can go for the U.S. title there.
Oh, hell yes, bro. If they make Chad Gable United States champion, come
I
on.
know, bro.
Now's your time to do it.
I wanted to take Chad Gable, but um, not right now. Just like in general to Raw. But if Theory's gonna be, yeah, I'll let him go to SmackDown.
And some
I
of these
think,
picks depend on where like certain people go as well. Like
yeah.
I feel like
Also,
wherever Theory goes, I feel like Gable could go.
I also think there's a decent chance that Maximum Male Models and Otis go to Raw. I mean, go to SmackDown, and Gable stays on Raw, and he's kind of like a Otis left me sort of thing. Like,
Yeah.
so I want to go with someone more here that I just like think
I mean, we still
is,
got the New Day.
yeah. I don't really want to go with I'm not trying to worry too much about like which round I would take them in. I'm more just worried about someone that I think is definitely going to go to Raw. Who was your last pick again?
Shinsuke.
Shinsuke?
Could
Give
take
me,
Solo.
I was going to say Finn Balor. I like the idea of Finn staying on Raw and the rest of the Judgment Day
Agreed.
being on SmackDown.
Agreed. Because they even said that they were trying to recruit after Mania, so this could be
Mhm.
the way that they do it.
And kind of like you got to remember also, and it's not any, and it's like no dig on anybody, but when they put Finn in the Judgment Day, the original idea was that he would kind of be the leader.
Yeah,
Um, Rhea kind of just became the leader by default.
agreed.
Um, but it's also, but I will say though, Finn doesn't. It's not like Finn is like Rhea's like sidekick by any means. Um,
That's what I
Finn
I
like
enjoy
definitely,
about the Judgment Day. Like I feel like
yeah,
either of them, like Rhea stands out as the leader the most, but I feel like
yeah.
they don't have like one person that's like I'm the leader, like
No,
as
yeah,
clear and cut.
totally. No, yeah, and I like that. So I think that's a good idea. To bring Finn to Raw, he can recruit a Judgment Day, and he can kind of be seen as like the leader over there. Rhea's kind of the leader over on SmackDown. Um, and at some point they just take over the fucking WWE, and then we get
Hell yeah,
the Bloodline versus Judgment Day in War Games.
give it to me.
That would be insane with Rhea,
All right, of course.
like Rhea in that match.
Rhea is definitely in that match. So my 16th pick. Oh man, I feel like they don't. The WWE does not respect Chad Gable as much as we do. So I don't think that they're going to take him yet. So I am going to take Grayson Waller. I don't think
Yeah,
he's
I
on
like.
this list, but I'm taking Grayson Waller
Okay,
because I think he could be a fun addition to SmackDown for sure.
totally agreed. Um,
Got a few
I'm
good
gonna go.
options still. You got Randy, you got Riddle, The Miz, Strowman, Ilya, Rey
Yeah.
Mysterio, Otis.
You know what? Give me Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne gets drafted to Raw as Pete Dunne. Or Butch gets drafted to Raw as Pete Dunne. They
And
split up the Brawling Brutes, and Pete Dunne is the one to go after Gunther.
agreed.
And
So, yeesh. I feel like now what they're going to do, I think, give me Ronda and Shayna as one, as a
okay,
tag.
I like it.
Um, just because I think they stick as a tag team, and I feel like the tag titles are on SmackDown, so I just feel like it makes the most sense.
Okay. All right, with that, just to keep it even, and I also think this is where they're going to go. I'm going to take Io and Dakota as one still. Because like I said, I think that the damage control split is coming, but I don't think it's going to be like a thing where they get split up in the draft. Like I think they're going to play on it and get a match out of it.
Yeah, that
Um,
would make the most sense.
yeah, so that's why I think they're all going to stay on the same brand. And I also I like them three on those brand on that brand. Like you
Yeah,
can split them up and make it singles immediately, and it's
yeah.
um
Um, agreed. So I feel like now, I think, man,
I like an NXT call up here for you with the women.
yeah, I was thinking about Roxanne.
Yeah.
Um, although,
And you add her to that women's division.
yeah, I feel like, whoops, give me Roxanne Perez.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a pretty good option.
I'm gonna do this just like I said, just to keep it as you like to even it up when we take it. Um give me. Can you scroll down a little?
I can. Also, you could think about maybe people who aren't actually on this list. I don't know
Yeah, totally.
who that would be, but
I was gonna say, I don't necessarily think she goes here, like right in this spot, but I'll take Candice LeRae on Raw.
It's not a bad pick.
Yeah, just to even because we got to keep these divisions even too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
I think you might need a couple more women over there, honestly. Oh no, you got Asuka, you got the
2, 3,
Liv and Raquel,
5, 6, 7,
Roxanne.
1,
No, you're
2,
good.
3.
No, we have the same amount. I just meant like star power wise. But I forgot that you had Liv and Raquel,
Yeah. So
like who can easily get split and be singles.
That's essentially what I think they're gonna do. Also.
Yeah, totally.
So let me see. I'm trying to decide between because I think Riddle stays on Raw. I'm trying
You
to
think so? I think there's a good
Yeah.
chance that Riddle goes to SmackDown.
Mhm.
But no, it could go either way.
Also, I just
Really.
want to mention quickly, no one's talking about it, but he looks insane with his wrestling gear.
Oh my god, dude. It's so weird.
Like, I didn't think it could look weirder when he had the biker shorts on, but now he's just
Yeah.
in like traditional like trunks. It
Trunks.
looks
Yeah.
absurd. um, I feel like The Miz could go to SmackDown. I feel like Gable could go to SmackDown. I feel like Braun Strowman could go to SmackDown. Karrion Kross could go to SmackDown. Man, I'm gonna take The Miz. I feel like,
Cool.
on The Miz's name. You heard him and I don't know if you watched him and Seth's match, but it was
Yeah.
phenomenal. It was awesome.
I'm
That's
gonna
what I
take
love, dude. Like The Miz just in a random Monday Night Raw match against Seth Rollins, and they're just like, let's just go have an insane match. And they just had an incredible match just to remind you that they could.
I'm gonna take Johnny Gargano.
Nice. Do you think him and Ciampa are going to be a tag team?
I was gonna say, since we're kind of getting as like we're kind of getting longer. If you want, we don't have to keep doing this round by round. We can kind of just talk and separate the rest of these guys.
Yeah, that makes sense. So,
but yes, I also think Ciampa's gonna go to Raw.
agreed. I think
Because
they
I
are
think
going
they're
to
gonna
do
end up.
DIY.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do DIY versus KO and Sammy at SummerSlam, which would be awesome.
So let's see.
Do you think Gable goes to SmackDown?
Yes.
Yeah, let's put him there.
If not, I think I truly believe he could be the next US champion.
No,
So
yeah, I think so too.
I think he deserves it, and I think like the US title it's been doing better recently, but it's not on the level the IC title is. And I think Chad Gable is someone who could easily restore and help build it up even further. So where are you, Chad Gable? How could I miss that?
You should put Damian Priest over there too.
Yeah, I'll throw him on there as well. Let's see here.
I'd say Omos is probably gonna stay on Raw.
Omos.
What do you think?
Um,
He could go to SmackDown. He could.
I think he will. I think
What?
go to SmackDown.
All right, you can put him on SmackDown. I'm cool with that. I could see
Just
that.
because I don't think they're gonna put him on the same show as Brock for some reason.
Okay.
We could throw Ilya. on Raw.
on Raw. Yeah, I like that.
I think the rest of Imperium's going to be on Raw, right?
Yeah, agreed. I would also put the New Day on Raw. I think they're gonna benefit from that little switch. You can throw Big E on there. I think they're just gonna get drafted as the New Day though.
Agreed.
Like without Big E.
There we go. All right. So,
Do you want Gallows and Anderson with AJ Styles on SmackDown?
yeah, I like. What's the deal? Are they hurt too?
No, I think they're
Oh,
just waiting for AJ to come back. They must have a plan for them with AJ
yeah.
because they're like that has to be the reason that they're just not doing anything.
Agreed. Let's see. So we'll put Otis on Raw with the
Yeah.
Maximum Male models. Let's see here.
You have Maxine Dupree's all the way to the right. I think that's her in
That's
the pink.
Tiffany Stratton.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I don't think
Where do you
she's
think
on
she
here.
goes?
Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah, I feel like
Is
she
she
may.
SmackDown?
Where do you think she's? Okay, agreed. Solo's
Chelsea
going to
Green to
Raw.
Raw. Yeah, I like Solo to Raw, and I like Chelsea Green to
Green.
Raw. Give me Karrion Kross on Raw too. He might benefit
like
from
it.
that.
I think he needs something. Randy to Raw, right?
Yeah. Do you want to put Ricochet on SmackDown? I think he probably stays there.
Yeah.
Ray to SmackDown.
Yeah, let me oops. Let's see. Where do you think
Put
Latina
Zelina.
World Order is going?
They're going to SmackDown. They're all going to SmackDown, I would say.
Yeah. Let's get these guys up here.
Oh, he's right there. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Let's take a look.
Where do you think?
I don't think Indy's gonna get drafted.
I don't think so either. Let me see. Who was I just looking at? Oh. All right. So Dawkins to SmackDown.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you think Strowman's going?
Probably Raw, honestly. I think they're gonna split him and Ricochet up.
Agreed. Let's see here. Riddle to Raw, probably, or SmackDown. What do you think?
I think he's gonna go to SmackDown personally, but I could and probably I don't know. Probably wrong since he's in this feud with the K. I don't know though. I just think
I feel like we'll be done at Backlash. So we'll put him to
Backlash.
SmackDown.
I like him on SmackDown. I think it's Mustafa Ali probably Raw, right? He would benefit from a move though.
Yeah. No, I think him on SmackDown with the U.S. title.
I'm cool. I'm cool with that.
Him and Gable, let him cook. What about Tyler Bate? Think he gets called up?
Yeah, I could see him getting called up to either brand, really.
Yeah, that one's tough.
The rest of these kind of are.
I'd like him on SmackDown.
Yeah. Let's put Tyler Bate on SmackDown. I like that too. I would say put Mia Yim on Raw. Sonya Deville on Raw. Carmella on Raw probably. Say Emma and Tegan Knox
You know
are
what?
probably gonna stay on SmackDown. You think?
Where's Madcap?
I could see Emma and Madcap going to Raw.
Yeah, let's put him on Raw. He needs something.
Cool with that. Do you think Tegan stays on SmackDown?
It's tough, but yeah. Just because I think you've got Bailey and Becky on Raw.
Yeah.
And I feel like she should get a push. Ridge the Fridge.
Might as well just put him on SmackDown still with Sheamus.
Yeah, we'll leave Pete Dunne all alone. Dexter
Bobby.
Loomis. What do you think? SmackDown?
Yeah, give him a SmackDown just to switch it up.
Rude
Say
on
Bobby
Raw?
Roode. Yeah, hopefully if he gets drafted, that would be awesome.
I think he could. I think they go to SmackDown.
Yeah, I like that.
And then obviously there's a lot of people that weren't
Are
on this
left.
list.
Yeah.
Is there anyone off the top of your head, like John Cena per se? You think John Cena gets drafted?
John Cena possibly. I think, like you said, Grayson Waller. I think there's like a 99% chance Grayson Waller gets drafted. I feel like there's some other people in NXT who might get called up. Pretty Deadly.
Yes.
Yeah, Pretty Deadly to Raw.
You think the Creed brothers could get called up?
Yeah, I think they could.
Yeah, they're pretty sick.
But yeah, man, that pretty much concludes it, guys.
That does conclude it indeed. So let us know in the comments, what is your bold prediction for the WWE draft? Do you think they're going to debut new titles, unify new titles? You think UFC people are going to get drafted? You think John Cena, The Rock, Stone Cold, someone like that could get drafted? Let us know some NXT call-ups you think that are going to happen. And let us know your excitement level for this draft. I think the most important thing with the draft is that they stick to it. Stick to the draft. Have these wrestlers be on the shows that they get drafted to. And let's not just forget that someone's supposed to be on SmackDown in a month when they just show up on Raw randomly. So, Dillon,
Agreed.
any closing thoughts about the WWE draft? Because it starts this Friday night on SmackDown.
No, just I hope it's good, and I hope it's a hard brand split after this. I hope they stick to the draft.
Agreed. So,
and I
that's
hope we
going to
get
wrap
2 world
up.
champions soon.
2 world champions. Seth Rollins deserves to be a world champion.
Yeah, let's have him be the inaugural title. I like the idea of Cody like having a chance to like be like the new champ, and he's just like, I don't even want it. I want to beat Roman Reigns. Like he, you know what I mean? I think that works for him. So
yeah. And I could see them unifying that and then just having Roman's title be like the WWE championship and him just being like, I want the title, the WWE championship that my father never held. So there's a lot of interesting things that could happen with this draft. But like I said, the most important is stick to the hard brand split. With that being said, Dillon, what's the best way for the people to stay up to date with when we release new episodes?
That'd be to follow us on our social media.
That's right. You can follow us on Twitter at The Burnt Hammer. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube at The Burning Hammer. And you can follow us on Twitch at The Burning Hammer Podcast. We are available wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure to leave us a review and follow or subscribe. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. And make sure to check out VendettaSportsMedia.com. We are going to be releasing a ton of WWE draft-based articles in this coming week leading up to the draft. With that being said, I'm Mark Izzo. He's Dillon O'Brien. And this has been another episode of the Burning Hammer Podcast. We'll catch you next week.
Ain't that the truth?